Imagine an ancient world where goddesses held the secrets of immortality, and pharaohs gained divinity through an extraordinary elixir. In the shadow of Egypt's pyramids, the mystical figure of Hathor emerges. She, the mistress of the Lilithian Netherworld, protector of womanhood and giver of life, held the key to a profound mystery. Mysteries of Hathor, sun disk, and divine horns. Hathor was an aspect of Isis the Great Mother, and her tradition is particularly relevant because she appears on the very oldest artifact of ancient Egypt, a green slate palette from the time of King Narmer, who ruled 3200 BC at the time of Tubal-cain, before the first dynasty of Egypt. Whereas some gods and goddesses were discarded and forgotten through the changing dynasties, a new temple was built for Hathor by Ptolemy IX in the final throes of pre-Roman Egypt, and within 30 years of his reign, the last of all the pharaohs, the famous Queen Cleopatra VII, from 51 to 30 BC, had her one and only relief carved on the wall of the Hathor temple. As a guide to the measurement of time in this regard, Cleopatra lived 1,000 years nearer to today's date than she did to the early King Narmer. But why was Hathor so important? And what was her association with the sun disk of Aten? She was actually a most prominent nursing goddess, and as the daughter of Ra, she was said to have given birth to the sun. In a slate relief of Hathor from the time of Pharaoh Menkaure, 2520 BC, the Aten disk is carried between her horns, and she is similarly depicted elsewhere. Hathor was traditionally portrayed with horns, as were Isis and others on occasions, for horns were indicative of knowledge reception, a divine communications device rather than antenna or aerials. For this reason, gods and goddesses alike were sometimes depicted as bulls, cows, goats, or rams. In the female sense, cow goddesses, such as Hathor, were also representative of nursing motherhood. Female horns were often symbolized by an upturned horizontal crescent moon, whereas the sun disk was a male emblem. Horns, divine symbols, and controversies. Since horns were associated with godly communication, they were in later times the objects of kingly or warrior adornment, being attached to helmets such as the headpiece of the 5th century Frankish King Clovis. Those who communicated directly with the gods were generally attributed with horns. It was for this reason that Michelangelo, 1475 to 1564, added horns to his famous statue of Moses on the Roman monument to Pope Julius II. The Christian church authorities were somewhat disconcerted by this, for by that time, horns had become to be more associated with the devil, while the traditional goat of Capricorn, an emblem of the biblical Ham and the Grail succession, was denounced as a heresy of witchcraft. Hathor was the originally defined Queen of the West and Mistress of the Lilithian Netherworld, to where she was said to carry those who knew the right spells. She was the revered protectress of womanhood, the Lady of the Sycamore, goddess of love, tombs, and song. It was from the milk of Hathor that the pharaohs were said to gain their divinity, becoming gods in their own right. Teleras unveiled, fountain of eternal youth. In more ancient Sumerian times, during the days of what is known as the Starfire ritual, the bloodline kings who were fed with the hormone-rich lunar essence of the Anunnaki goddesses were also said to have been nourished with their milk, notably that of Ishtar. It would appear, therefore, that this milk contained an enzyme that was specially conducive to active longevity, and this was very likely the enzyme that genetic researchers have called telomerase. As reported in the Science Journal, corporate studies and those of the University of Texas Southern Medical Center have determined that telomerase has unique anti-aging properties. Healthy body cells are programmed to divide many times during a lifetime, but this process of division and replication is finite, so that a non-dividing state is ultimately achieved. This is a crucial factor of aging. The division potential is controlled by caps at the end of DNA strands, rather like the plastic tips on shoelaces, and these caps are called the telomeres. As each cell divides, a piece of telomere is lost. The dividing process ceases when the telomeres have shortened to an optimum and critical length. There is then no new cell replication, and all that follows is deterioration. Laboratory experiments with tissue samples have now shown that application of the genetic enzyme telomerase can prevent telomere shortening upon cell division and replication. Hence, body cells can continue to divide far beyond their naturally restricted program. just as do cancer cells, which can achieve immortality through being rich in telomerase. Telomerase is not usually expressed in normal body tissue, but apart from being present in malignant tumors, it is also apparent in reproductive cells. It seems, therefore, that somewhere within our DNA structure is the genetic ability to produce this anti-aging enzyme, but the potential has somehow been switched off. Pharaohs and sacred bread. By the time of Egypt's 12th dynasty of Dragon Queen Sobekneferu, the kingly rituals of the milk and starfire of the goddess had been superseded by the ceremonies of the sacred firestone. This bodily supplement became the new route to the light, and as we have seen, it was figuratively represented as bread. On one of the rock tablets near the Mount Cerebit cave entrance is a representation of Thutmose IV in the presence of Hathor. Before him are two offering stands topped with lotus flowers, and behind him is a man bearing a loaf of white bread. Another stela details the mason Ankib offering two conical bread cakes to the king, and there are similar portrayals elsewhere in the temple complex. Perhaps one of the most significant is a depiction of Hathor and Amenhotep III. The goddess, complete with horns and solar disk, holds a necklace in one hand while offering the emblem of life and dominion to the pharaoh with the other. Behind her is the treasurer Sobekotep, who holds in readiness a conical shem of white bread. Treasurer Sobekotep is very importantly described elsewhere in the temple as the overseer of the secrets of the House of Gold, who brought the noble precious stone to his majesty. It was not by chance that Pharaoh Menkaure elected to feature Hathor besides his wife and himself in the slate triad portrait, which incorporated the Aten disk, for the Hathor temple at Mount Cerebit in Sinai was directly associated with pyramid construction. The 4th dynasty of Menkaure was the great dynasty of the Gizeh pyramids. The dynasty of Khufu, Chops, who built the Great Pyramid, 481 feet or 146 meters in height, of Khafre, Chephren, who built the 2nd pyramid, 471 feet or 143 meters, and of Menkaure, Mistress himself, who is credited with the 3rd Giza pyramid, 215 feet or 65 meters. Powered secrets, gravity's defiance. When the white powder of gold was manufactured for the purpose of feeding of light bodies of the pharaohs in the starfire tradition of the dragon succession, it was plainly not required in great quantity. However, the Sinai furnace laboratory of Hathor was geared to produce large amounts of the substance. Why? Experiments have been conducted that has shown not only is the powder of the Highward Firestone capable of raising human consciousness, but it is also a monatomic superconductor with no gravitational attraction. One of the greatest researchers into gravity from the 1960s has been Russian physicist Andrei Sakharov, and the mathematics of his theory, based on gravity as a 0 point, were published by Hal Puthoff of the Institute of Advanced Studies. With regard to the monomatic white powder, Puthoff has since made the point that because gravity determines space-time, then the powder is capable of bending space-time. It is exotic matter, he explained, with a gravitational attraction of less than 0. As we learned from the powder analysis, not only can the substance be contrived to weigh less than nothing and be made to disappear into an unknown dimension, but so too can the pan in which the substance is placed be caused to weigh less than nothing under the right circumstances. Therefore, the powder is capable of transposing its own weightlessness to its host, which might be a pan or might very well be an enormous block of stone. As we delve into the mystical realms of Hathor, we're left to ponder, did the enigmatic white powder of gold, the essence of starfire, hold the secret to building the colossal pyramids? Could it have defied gravity, bending space and time? The ancient whispers echo through history, teasing us with the possibility that we may have just uncovered the secrets of the pyramids. How did they build those monumental structures? The answer perhaps lies in the mystical powder of Hathor. Remember to like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what you think. Until next time.